For decades, Japan's housing industry was an unstoppable force, a symbol of its economic miracle. But right now, it's facing a crisis so big, it threatens its very existence. So today, we're going to dive into how these giants are fighting for their future in a world that has been completely turned on its head.
So, let me ask you this. Just imagine you're running a massive home building company. For like 50 years, you've had guaranteed customers, guaranteed growth. Then, almost overnight, the very ground beneath your feet starts to crumble. The market you built your empire on, it just starts to vanish. What do you even do?
And look, this isn't just some hypothetical scenario. That number, negative 43%, that's the official government forecast for the drop in new home construction by 2040. I mean, that's a staggering, almost unimaginable fall. It's basically the end of an entire era, and it's forcing these companies into a desperate search for a new way to survive.
Okay, so first up, let's break down this core problem. How a market that seemed totally unbeatable is just disappearing.
You know, for decades, Japan's whole story was about rebuilding and explosive growth. But that story has changed. The country's now facing what they call a demographic winter. It's pretty simple, really. Fewer people means fewer families, and fewer families means way less demand for new homes. That guaranteed pipeline of customers that fueled the industry for more than 50 years, it's basically just gone.
So what do you do when your home market is shrinking? Well, you go find a new one. And that brings us to the first huge strategy these companies are betting on, a massive, full-throttle global gold rush.
And believe me, they are not just dipping a toe in the water here. We're talking about a full-on American acquisition spree. Look at this timeline. In just the last few years, Japan's biggest players have been spending billions, that's billions with a B, to buy up major U.S. home builders. They're not building from scratch, they're buying huge chunks of the market in one go.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. This isn't just some side hustle for them. For a company like Sekisui House, their U.S. business is now the main thing driving their profits. And look at Sumitomo Forestry. Almost 80% of their operating profit now comes from outside Japan, mostly the U.S. and Australia. This isn't a nice-to-have anymore. It's their lifeline.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The U.S. market is the second main battlefield. It's a total shift in mindset. The real fight for growth, for profits, for the entire future of these companies. It's not happening in Tokyo anymore. It's happening in Texas, in Utah, all across America.
But, of course, you can't just completely abandon your home turf, right? And that brings us to the second part of their strategy, which is maybe even more radical, totally reinventing what it even means to be a housing company back in Japan.
So they're making this crucial pivot to something they call a stock business. And the logic is brilliant, really. If you can't build a ton of new houses, why not make money off the tens of millions of houses that are already there? It's a huge shift from just selling a house once to building a long-term relationship. Think renovations, maintenance, property management, the whole package.
And Sumitomo Forestry has this incredible model they call the wood cycle, which is just a perfect example of this new thinking. They're not just home builders anymore. They're managing the actual forests, processing the timber, building the house. And then, get this, recycling the wood for energy at the end of its life. It's this beautiful, sustainable, circular system. It's a complete reimagining of what their business even is.
And everyone's got their own angle, right? Daiwa House is branching out into totally different areas like logistics centers and data centers. Sekisui House is doubling down on managing its huge portfolio of rental apartments. And pretty much all the major players are pushing these super high-tech, net-zero energy homes, especially with new energy laws coming in 2025. It's all about finding new ways to make money. So with all this chaos and change happening, it was only a matter of time before something big happened. And it did. We're talking about a single massive deal that sent shockwaves through the entire industry and totally redrew the map.
Now, to get why this deal was so huge, you have to look at the two players involved. On one side, you've got Panasonic's housing division. I mean, they were the kings of kitchens, bathrooms, all the interior stuff, but they weren't very profitable. On the other side, you've got YKK AP, the absolute undisputed leader in windows and exteriors, but they had nothing for the inside of the house. See where this is going? There were like two giant, powerful puzzle pieces that were missing each other's half.
And then, boom, the mega deal drops. YKK AP buys Panasonic's housing business for roughly 250 billion yen. The goal was so clear, so simple. Combine YKK's mastery of the outside of a house with Panasonic's dominance on the inside. What do you get? A new 800 billion yen powerhouse,
A one-stop shop for everything you need, perfectly positioned to dominate that booming renovation market we were just talking about.
Okay, so you take all of this, the global expansion, reinventing the business at home, these huge monster deals, and it all points to a really fascinating and frankly, kind of radical future. A future where a house isn't just a product anymore.
And that future has a name: living as a service, or LaaS. Just think about that for a second. The idea is that your home stops being just a physical asset, 4 walls and a roof. Instead, it becomes this smart platform, an integrated service that helps you manage your health, your energy, your entire lifestyle. I mean, check this out. Sekisui House is already working on something called the Platform House. This is a house that could literally monitor your health through sensors and adjust the lighting or temperature to keep you comfortable. It's a house that manages its own energy use, orders your groceries, and connects you to any service you need. It's a profound shift, right? They're moving from just building houses to building a platform for life.
And that really brings us to the big final question. As these companies are forced to completely transform themselves just to survive, they're also redefining the very concept of a home. So think about it. Is the future of your home a place you own, or is it a service you use? The answer to that question isn't just going to change an industry. It's probably going to change how every single one of us lives.